So now that Batman vs Superman has officially been released, there's one thing in particular that's been bothering me ever since I've seen the film, that being the character of Doomsday. Now, going into this film, guys, I will say the movie is relatively decent. It's a good movie to watch, but there was one problem that I had with the film, that being Doomsday and the execution of the character itself. Now, again, guys, before I begin, this video will contain loads of spoilers, so if you guys don't want to know what happens, if you guys don't want any insight as to what pertains in the movie, then simply just fast forward, or you guys can go on ahead and just stick by. But again, I am warning you, this video will have loads of spoilers. Now, let's begin. Alright, so now, Doomsday was presented in Batman vs Superman in a very unusual way. Now, going into this, of course, I did not have any expectations at all, other than just having to watch a good film and hoping to see a good film. Now, throughout the course of the first couple of acts leading on to the final act of the movie, we get to see Doomsday, and he fights both Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, and it's the overall development of Doomsday that really bothered me, because again, maybe I'm reflecting a lot on the comics, because in the comics, I just seem to have had a much better depiction of him there than he was on the big screen. Now, I personally felt like his battle against Superman, his battle against Batman, and Wonder Woman was executed better in the comics than it was on the big screen. Now, I would have to tally up and say that Doomsday's on-screen time was just about 5 to 6 minutes. The fights that he did have with Superman, however, they were decent at best. The fights with Wonder Woman and Batman, decent at best. But the overall execution of this character was just poorly done, because here you have like this juggernaut of a character, in which gives the entire Justice League a huge run for their money. He practically kills, like, you know, the entire, like, entourage of Justice League members. He kills Superman. He just beats the ever-so-living holy ghost out of everyone else, Aquaman, Cyborg, and everyone else. But in this particular film, he seems to be struggling against Wonder Woman. I understand she's a goddess and all, but, like, in the early stages of him just being about, he shouldn't really have that much of a problem against her, but needless to say, he just looked a little off to me, and it wasn't because of the whole, you know, rock spores and stuff. It was the fact that the way they carried about his character, that was poorly done. Now, of course, I'm pretty sure, I'm 90% sure that he's not dead, especially towards the end with Superman stabbing him with the Kryptonite scepter. I don't believe that Doomsday is dead. However, I do hope for his return, because we do have an understanding that Darkseid will be appearing in the Justice League movie, and he will be like the main bad guy, the main villain to be fighting the Justice League members. And of course, if you guys recall, Darkseid is like the equivalent of like the Thanos in the DC universe. He is the Apocalypse of the DC universe. He is the be-all end-all, and he is an absolute machine. He is an absolute beast, and given the circumstances of his power and given like the limit of what he can do, he can literally put the entire Justice League to shame. And now Superman's dead, Doomsday killed him off, which I didn't really have a problem with that, because they incorporated the death of Superman story in this, but it was the way Doomsday went about things. It was the way he fought. I'm pretty sure he wasn't as big in the comics as he was in the movie. I might be wrong on that, but the way he fought Wonder Woman was just half-ass. I believe that Doomsday would completely crush Wonder Woman, and the way he was, you know, trying to catch up against Batman, we saw how fast he was when he was colliding against Superman. How in the world was he not quick enough to catch Batman is beyond me. I understand Batman is very crafty, Batman is very nifty with what he does, but literally all he did was like repel himself to a different location, and he was able to get away from Doomsday, which kind of made no sense, because Doomsday is supposed to have incredible speed. I would have loved it to where at least Batman were to take some hits from Doomsday and survive, but barely to the point where he's able to stand up and just look on it and just say, damn, we need bigger guns to fight this guy, because he is just almost impenetrable. So the whole sequence between him and Superman, I briefly enjoyed that, only because the way like they had like that little beam struggle between like the laser eyes and stuff. You know, Superman fell back and he got right back up and he had to save Lois Lane. I just felt as if the way this should have ended was incorporate another member of the Justice League before they actually join the Justice League, of course, like someone like Aquaman or possibly the Flash, jump on in and grab the scepter and just stab Doomsday with it while the other three are just distracting him. I understand they went about the route that they went by, and you know, that's perfectly fine with me, because it brought more of a dynamic with the way Superman died. But it was the way, first of all, it was the way Doomsday looked. He looked like a giant ogre from like Lord of the Rings. He just looked like a cave ogre, and yeah, I mean, he mutated throughout the film, but it wasn't much of a difference. I mean, he had rock spores and bone growth or like all around his back and stuff, and that was pretty much it. He did not resemble the original comic look, and I understand sometimes you can't entirely base something on the comics, but if you're doing a story that's based solely off the comics, you're gonna have to incorporate that character one way or another on the big screen. Otherwise, you'll have a flop like the Fantastic Four, and that was the worst superhero film I think of all time. That was just terrible. So I don't think this film comes anywhere near that, but of course the overall execution of Doomsday was just poorly written and poorly executed, because he is supposed to be one of the most powerful characters that the Justice League encounter, but in the movie itself, he wasn't depicted as one. He was just depicted as a regular villain. So I just had a huge problem with that. Other people might say, well, it was Jesse Eisenberg's character of playing Lex Luthor Jr. and stuff. It was the overall execution of the Batman-Superman fight. For me, at least, Doomsday did not seem menacing at all, and that's very disappointing because I'm a huge Doomsday fan, and I would love to see Doomsday, you know, do more than what he did. But for the time being, I do believe that he will return somewhere down the line. Although it'll be really weird, because if he comes back after Darkseid, it'll be really weird because we all know Doomsday is not as powerful as Darkseid. And so for him to come back after they fight the most powerful villain ever, it's gonna be a little weird, because it's gonna be like, all right, well, what do you have to offer after we just got done fighting a god, pretty much? It's just like, it's insane. But needless to say, Doomsday could have been executed so much better in this film. I just felt as if, I mean, yeah, I understand, like, they couldn't do much, they cut certain things out and whatever, fine, that's all fine and dandy, but they could have done it to where Doomsday is literally, like, on the hunt, he's on the kill, he's literally, he has all three of them, like, within the grasp of, like, his mercy or whatever, and he's not, you know, showing any, he just wants to slaughter them, and then they just pull a miracle out their butts and they kill him. But to me, at least, you know, Doomsday did not seem menacing, and I'm not saying that because, you know, oh, he's just a Marvel fan. I love Marvel, I love DC, I love comics, but I love comic films that, you know, pertain, you know, and surround themselves around the comics itself, like, not something that's just pulled out of someone's butt, you know. Zack Snyder always had trouble telling a good story, and sometimes with character development, it may not go his way, and I just felt like one of the most disappointing characters was Doomsday, because first of all, he was showed off way too early in the trailers. When they first showed him off in the trailers, I was like, oh my god, why? And I understand the premise of this film was supposed to be solely based on Batman versus Superman, and they should have kept it that way, but of course, introducing Doomsday, they should have had it to where Doomsday did much more damage than what he already did in the film, just so he can have, like, some credibility going in. So comment down below, let me know what you guys think down below on Doomsday. Did you guys like the character? Did you guys hate the character? What are your overall thoughts on the future of the Justice League films? Thank you all for watching, everybody. Once again, if you guys are fans, don't forget to subscribe, that way you guys don't miss a single episode. If you guys enjoyed, don't forget to smash that like button, leave your overall thoughts down in the comment section below. What did you guys like? What did you guys hate? And what would you have done differently in terms of bringing in Doomsday? Comment down below. Thank you all for watching. Once again, tune in for more updates, guys, and I'll be seeing you all later. Take it easy, everybody. Peace.